as I said, I want to see mitts early, so let's see a glove upgrade right away.
All right, I'm very, very excited to get this underway. Look at that timing, dude.
Okay.
All right.
Eastern Palace Big Key. That makes Eastern Palace rather attractive early on, because you can pretty much clear everything except for the boss. It's pretty nice.
That's right. Of course, assuming that you get that bow, you could even go finish the dungeon, but no banking on that. As both runners, we're gonna get started with some standard uncle play. Head on down into the sewers, see what he's got. Check that other chest, pick up some small magic jars here. Let's see what we have.
Full heart's not bad. It's good to, get some health a little bit early, and then we'll head over to Uncle and see what we get here.
Oh, baby, more bombs.
Christos pulling ahead here, by the way, with that 1 rupee lead.
That's probably insurmountable at this point. I'm not sure Andy will be able to come back. Okay, I might be kidding.
I mean, he's also got 5 arrows. Let's be real here. If only you could use like arrows to just like jab enemies. I think that would break open this game.
Link just like grabs an arrow in his hand and just starts jamming it into like the head of, King Helmasaur or something.
Would be great.
All right, we got some bomb farming going on. We're gonna head to Kakariko via the south route, and both of them getting a little bit unlucky. Andy only picking up 1 on 2 visits. Chris even opting for a 3rd attempt here, and still not getting any more. So he's like, "All right, whatever. I'm moving on."
Yeah, you can be a little bit comfortable with 1, but if you do find an item here at the race game, it's gonna feel a little bit bad. But it looks like we only got $20.
Yeah, that's pretty fortunate. It's fairly common if you're coming from the north side of Kakariko to even just go straight into the race game in Keysanity, just because there's so many more items that might be needed, that might be there. Hello, that's a hammer on the bookshelf.
Oh man, so we're gonna find boots probably somewhat early, but not necessarily. You can go without the hammer for quite some time and do some really silly dips into places like Ice Palace.
Yeah, oh gosh. I'm sure Andy's eyes just lit up when he saw those two, like, oh boy. It's the GT map in the back of the tavern, so now we know where Ganon's tower is. Whew, that's a load off my mind.
Good news, and looks like Andy and Christos are using their great game knowledge. This bomb hut here in Kakariko is just a great place to farm up some bombs, so great play.
Yeah, not having seen any rupees yet either, like, there's no guarantee you'll be able to even afford bombs, so you might as well just go ahead and make this trip, farm up a couple, we'll see if Andy does decide to go back in, and Chris will do the same, so they'll get up to 9 and 8 bombs, respectively.
Alright, so we'll probably be kind of routing through Chicken House and up to... It'll be interesting if they can get enough rupees for the bottle vendor. Like, they can farm them in Blind's house, but I don't know if that's worth it if they don't find any rupees otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of thing where oh, nice flute there in the chicken house, so they'll have some quick world access. But yeah, I think that's the kind of thing where you just say, you know what, I'll be coming back to Kakariko. There's no way I'm not, so I'll just put it off a little bit. I'll come back in a while.
With that flute, Andy decides to place the bomb there. With that flute, it will make coming back for the bottle vendor a lot easier.
I'm sorry, he dropped that bomb and I just started, like, cracking up.
Yo, me too. Oh.
Oh, look at those synced animations of the swag duck. It's beautiful.
So good. But Andy made it a little bit different, that bomb, so props to him.
Well, that evens out the bomb. Oh no, actually, no, Andy's behind on the bomb count, so that's a big deal. But that's a big key of Ice Palace. It's already 2 big keys, and 2 pretty nice ones to have. Eastern, of course.
Boots.
All right.
Oh, what are those? I guess we are running around Hyrule now, and we'll be able to get that hammer immediately.
Yeah, we'll be navigating Kakariko in style now, and maybe that makes Christos a little nervous because and he's gonna have the ability to hover places, but like honestly, that's not gonna make that huge difference depending on what the actual item shuffle they get is.
Agreed. And that actually opens up, Bonk Rocks as well as an available location. If we do find the book, then that'll open up something on the torch. Oh, there's those gloves.
What is going on, Alucard? What is this?
It's what we commonly know as a Stoops jet seed.
Well, we'll see. Maybe it's too early to pronounce it that, but that is a lot of items they've already got. They picked up a Canis Samaria, they picked up the power gloves, they're gonna get the hammer, they have the boots, they have the flute. Good lord. They also have one knowledge of Crystal versus Pendant, that is Desert Palace is now known to be I believe it was a blue pendant when the map check came from Andy.
That's right, and we did also find the Misery Mire big key, so that will be pretty available early on. I mean, we have Red Cane already. We need a fire source to be able to full clear it, as long as these guys are okay doing it in the dark, and then some medallion to get in, but that could be something that appears early on, so we'll be looking out for those items.
Yeah, and I know that each runner kind of has different ways that they approach. Oh, well, there's Yam's Tower, Big Key, and Sank. Each runner has different ways that they approach kind of whether they sequence break various things. And for Misery Mire in particular, you mentioned the fire source, but also technically those firelock chests are not illogic until you have 3 small keys to the dungeon. So that might be something where one or both of them says, I actually want to avoid that, or at least assuming that those chests are required until I have those keys.
Right. That is some really important game knowledge, but if it's just a place that you can go in full clear and you haven't been to other places around the world, it may incentivize you to just go there and do it anyways.
Yeah, especially
because you might have those small keys available.
Yeah, that's right. So Andy now picking up his GT big key from Sank, he just opted to go north to Lost Woods, whereas Chris reloaded to go back to Sank to do that. But now, where are we heading?
Well, we can go up Death Mountain, but we can't do a lot there, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking Andy was going that way, but he's doing the Bonk Rocks check that Chris just did, and maybe they'll head up there. They also do have access to the back of Escape. Always a good check, which Chris does seem to be doing right now.
Looks like Andy's following suit here. Just a little bit of slight routing differences between these guys, but they're pretty much doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's that thing that always really impresses me when watching these two in particular plays, that their way of approaching the game is just so similar that even if they, that's...
Okay, well, we got those early mitts. We can actually check King's Tomb immediately with those mitts, which is kind of nice. We can get to the Mire area, but I don't see much value in that.
Looks like Andy may be heading to that King's Tomb play, whereas Chris is going to go work on the south of Light World. He's going to check out the dam, going to check out that mini Moldorm cave, and yeah, Andy is doing that play. Or not? Houlihan?
Houlihan, it seems. Okay.
Alucard, how do you feel about Houlihan in general in in Keysanity mode?
I don't think it's too bad. Maybe Andy's getting worried that he's getting a little bit low on bombs, and then he's probably heading to South Shore in a reasonable amount of time, because it pops him out right at Link's house here. So, if he does manage to get some more rupees, then they can fake flipper over to Zora. And they can even do a walk-on water glitch with the boots to be able to collect the Zora ledge item without the flippers, if they set it up right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Without Moon Pearl, they won't, of course, be able to do some of those checks, like the Waterfall Ferry.
Well, I guess I stand corrected. We do need to find a Moon Pearl before we can do any of that.
Oh boy, we're seeing the cane block strats from Chris in the mini Moldorm cave. That's always a good time, and little supplemented with some hammer. That was actually pretty cool. He's 3 different items pretty quickly in that cave to deal with the mini Moldorms, and now we'll collect some bombs, some arrows, a heart, some rupees, and then arrow booster. Wow.
Can't all be good.
sometimes none of it's good, I guess. Jeez.
But we'll be hitting up Ice Rod Cave next, and then we'll see if Christos decides to go for a fake flippers. We can also flute up to Death Mountain as well, so you don't really need to worry about just climbing normally.
Oh yeah, that's a
with gloves.
good point there. I totally forgot they had the flute because like whoever gets the flute this early.
It's a really nice luxury having, you know, two of the best mobility items in the game right off the bat.
All right, well, Ice Rod Cave holding nothing of interest. Both of these runners have been skipping pieces of heart already. They're perfectly happy with 6. That seems like more than enough, I guess.
Looks like Christos is going to take that big key for Eastern and head towards Sahasrara and probably jump right into Eastern there.
Yeah, I like this play. Technically, one of the chests in Eastern is outside of logic, but it's possible to get to regardless of that because of being able to navigate dark rooms. So together, that's a total of 8 chests and the knowledge of the green pendant. So pretty good overall play, and we'll see what that green pendant is going to be.
Yeah, right now you just want to go for density, and this is where it's at. Looks like we got a small key for Ganon's Tower, getting loaded in Ganon's Tower.
Also a small key for Ice, which will be nice if they make that play at some point. And Misery Mire being the green pendant, which they do already have that key for. So it'll be interesting to see if that ends up being required.
Yeah, that could be a big gamble that these guys decide to make early on if that becomes available quickly. Because we do need a medallion to get in. We need a sword to activate that medallion. And we do need some sort of fire source and a few keys potentially, but you can make it through there regardless.
Yeah, we do have a number of important items, but we do, as you just underscored, we do miss a fair number of things right now. So Andy does appear to be following the same play, basically. He also opted to check King's Tomb in between those 2 plays, just a heart container. So that's nice and all, but not really, lighting his world on fire or anything. And Chris is even going out of his way to get a few extra rippies from those pots, too, just in case.
What's interesting about getting some extra full hearts early and having the mitts early is we can get to dungeons that can be very difficult early on in the game. So having those hearts can be really nice.
Yeah, that's a great point, especially with green mail. If they don't get any mail upgrades, then it can be pretty nice to have that buffer. Just, health is a resource like anything else, right? Oh, and there's one of those Mire keys in the east side of Eastern Palace.
Oh man, is this a commentator's curse coming? I hope so. For once.
I mean, it could be a lot worse, right? Like, they already got the Mire big key, they already got the cane, they already have boots to be able to get in. Just a couple things missing there, but like, it is kind of hinted. So maybe getting those small keys is actually better for the runners to just say like, okay, like I am reading this seed correctly. It wants me to go there.
Absolutely. It's like Andy's trying to navigate this old man dark room here. And we have a big key in the big chest of Eastern, and it's for Pod.
This is an interesting seed so far. They still don't have that moon pearl, so they still can't go there. But I feel like that's gonna be coming before too long.
Only a piece of heart from the old man here, and there's only one other item that we can grab up here on Death Mountain. If Andy wants, he can jump into the Dark World, and I don't know if he got any maps that are relevant at this point.
Big key on Spectacle Rock, and if this is a mirror or hookshot, I mean, it's not. It's just a small key, and he will try to hover over to it, and unfortunately takes a fall. And
that's a rough fall.
Wow, he'll actually just save and quit out, too. I guess that's not unreasonable. There's not really anything that he's blocked on with small keys right now, so he can always come back and get that later when he has mirror or, whatever he's going to make another trip up there.
Yeah, and Andy's going to be heading to Eastern, probably going to grab that bloomerang that Christos just picked up in the vanilla big key chest.
All right, well, we do now have the escape play from Chris. I feel like given the set of things we've already seen, this is now basically the only realistic option, other than, I guess, like Agina's Cave exists, Zora exists, but they both are just so awful.
Yeah, they're not great. Like, those are the only other things that are in the logic right now.
Well, now that I think about it, they're just a mirror away from the entirety of East Death Mountain, and also Checkerboard Cave, which...
And Desert.
Boy, that would be a troll. And Desert, that's true.
There's the Ice Rod in Escape. We won't have to be looking for that one.
That is always a nice item to get out of the way that could potentially just be an awful troll. Fortunately, in this seed, even if Turtle Rock is required, will not be.
Alright, 2 more chests back here, and then there is one in the sewers that Christos could navigate in the dark. Might see him Death Warp. Ooh! Hookshot.
That's a good item. We like that item. Unfortunately, blows a hole in my prediction earlier, which I'm certainly happy for the runners that mine won't come true, but that does also open up the entirety of East Death Mountain and Tower of Hera. At least, the beginning of Tower of Hera.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, and if they do end up finding the Moon Pearl over there, that opens up Dark Death Mountain east side as well, which is a lot of items too, so definitely seems to be leading them in that direction.
There is, I guess, also the possibility of even doing a Super Bunny Cave. It's been a long time since I've actually seen a seed where it was reasonable to think about Super Bunny Cave, but I wonder if we'll see that tonight.
Well, without the mirror, I certainly expect Christos to go to Hera first before even jumping into the Dark World. Like, doing Paradox Cave into Hera. Sure, he'll check, Spectacle Rock and all this that he hasn't checked first, but he's going to do all the Light World stuff before the Dark World stuff. So maybe we'll see that play in the Super Bunny.
And I mean, there's... I think 10 items total that he can check, in addition to the small key, I guess. There's 10 other locations that he can check, so the likelihood of finding the Moon Pearl is also pretty high here.
Bloomerang for Andy.
I do have to say about things like the boomerang, like, I think most people see the boomerang and they're like, okay, whatever, snooze. Not an interesting item, but I think for players like Andy and Christos, like, any item, even the boomerang, is potentially useful and will get put to interesting use.
I agree. I mean, of course, now that we have the hook shot, it's a little less exciting, but I agree completely. Looks like Andy's going to do this Agina check.
Interesting. Before heading to the escape, we'll see what this is for him, as Chris has made his way over to East Death Mountain. He'll be working on Paradox Cave shortly. And we also did see Andy take a visit to the Kakariko bottle vendor, and he just had a piece of heart. Pretty healthy seed so far.
Yeah, pretty nice. Only $50 in Agina, but we're going to take a look at Paradox now.
Ooh, there's some powder.
Well, that does open up the magic bat. We do have the hammer to go with it.
We also, of course, will be able to make use of fairies, but this seed has been so healthy that it just seems unlikely that either runner will end up needing that too much, especially as Christos picks up 2 heart containers.
And 2 compasses. Very nice. And the Moon Pearl! Oh, that's so nice.
All right, there you go. Well, unfortunately, still no mirrors, so you probably, as you did mention, will do all the Light World stuff, including Hera, and then think about heading into Dark East Death Mountain, but I'm sure we'll see that since he now has access to the entirety of it.
Yeah, and if we somehow do find the medallion for Turtle Rock, we can walk in there.
Oh, I see. Okay. No, yeah, he's just checking. Was that a key?
I believe it was a small key on the floating island, so that may be something to remember and come back for, along with this big key on Spectacle Rock. So we have some mirror blockage here.
Yeah, we also can't check that ether tablet right now due to lacking bows, so that'll just kind of be in the back of people's heads. But did I say bow?
You did, but we all know you meant book. It's fine.
I don't know. Maybe I meant bow. Maybe you can't check it without
That
bow.
was a
Who knows? Is
vanilla hair. What?
Okay,
You
that's
can't
pretty
do
good.
anything with it though.
Yeah, there's no fire source so far, so they won't be able to do the Hera basement. And Chris knows that, so he's just heading out. But that's pretty funny. Usually, actually, if you pick one of those up from a chest, you get a text box now, don't you?
Yeah, you normally would have got a text box pretty much in all other cases but that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He was probably
Alright.
expecting it, and then it just didn't happen.
Well, Andy is back up to Death Mountain, and it looks like he's going to go to the east side first before picking up that small key from the Spectacle Rock Cave. Chris is working on Spiral Cave, so they're pretty much meeting up again, doing the same stuff. Just Andy had a little bit of a detour as he kind of split his eastern trip into two, so that's really kind of the only time difference right now. Oh, hey.
Well, okay. Guess I'm wrong on this one. We got the Turtle Rock Big Key in Spiral Cave. That was well worth it.
Interesting note. I didn't even notice this as he was doing it, but Chris performed an item dash without a sword, which you can do, but then normally it actually bonks you off the thing if you run into something. But in Chris's case, he actually, I guess he must have canceled his dash right before hitting the wall, and as a result, it actually stomped the peg instead of bonking.
Top skill. That's what that is.
Dude, that's why these players are so much fun to watch, dude.
Absolutely. All right, 2 chests here in Super Bunny, first of which is going to be a compass for Ganon's tower and the lamp.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, God. The Hera basement is back in.
Oh, no.
Oh, gosh. Well, we'll also get the medallion check for Turtle Rock, and it is Bombos today.
Okay, well, that's a pretty useful medallion for Ice Palace as well, so once we do get that Bombos medallion, it'll open things up pretty nicely.
Yep, and Ice Palace being a crystal, too, so definitely be coming into play, and we saw Mire. Oh my god, dude. What is this scene? Oh, there's a sword. Alright, well, now we can use that medallion.
Perfect package right there. And remember, we cannot actually open that T-Rock portal without being in the light world, because we don't have the mirror, so we couldn't actually get there.
Yeah, that's... I'm sort of at a loss right now because so many things open simultaneously that I mean, obviously, there's not really much use in predicting right now. Chris just heading straight to Mire. That's his plan. He's gonna check the shed, and that's really it. And he also got that medallion information.
Yeah, I couldn't quite make out what it was. There's the
I just caught it
silvers.
now. Bombos.
It was Bombos for Mire. That's full clearable.
Well, for Christos, he's gonna opt not to do that. Makes sense. It is the green pendant. Maybe, he hasn't even touched any crystal dungeon yet. Maybe take a little bit before that. We do almost have our pendant crystal information. We've got 2 pendants known. Just need to know 1 more.
Now, the seed, might be saying, you know what, go to Turtle Rock. It might seem that way, but we don't have the small keys to get through there. That's the big issue with Turtle Rock right now as a play, and they'd have to climb the mountain again for this. By the way, we got some hype here from ChristosOwen going into Hype Cave, that map. That hype.
Tell me more about the hype in Hype Cave.
I don't know, you can buy bombs kind of with the 20 rupees they got. I don't know. It was pretty bad.
Yeah,
sugarcoat that.
it can't be good every day, I guess. And we do get the 6-7 or the 5-6 check from Eastern Palace and Hera having those red crystals that'll unlock the big bomb for Pyramid Fairies. So Eastern Palace, of course, they already have the big key for. They'll be able to finish off as soon as they get the bow, and Hera, they just need the big key and they can finish that as well.
Yeah, I imagine if they do find that Hera big key, they'll be going there pretty quickly because they do also have the small key, and so they can do a full clear.
I mean, that could already be the required progression. Who even knows?
That's true. It may be the Hera big key is there, just like the small key was.
Don't say that, dude. Oh man. Well, the South Dark World check continuing for Christos, and he's going to do some digging, press the Y button a whole bunch of times, maybe get something nice, maybe get a bunch of rupees. Actually, the rupees will be pretty nice for him at this point since he never did Hule Hand, so he's a little bit lower than Andy is, and you know Zora is still kind of there as a concept at least.
This will be interesting from Andy if he decides to go right into Mire. Ooh, and a small key for Turtle Rock at the digging game. That's a really nice find.
Yeah, it's their first one. The Mire, of course, providing the silver arrows, which we totally missed when Chris picked it up, but those are pretty nice. No bow to go with them yet, but we'll get them before too long, I'm sure. And he is heading into Mire.
Well, we got all the pieces of the puzzle, except magic!
Oh, he skipped the magic pot in Super Bunny Cave, and I didn't say anything, Ali, because I was like, oh, you know, it's whatever. But then he couldn't go into Mire because of it.
Wow. There's the single arrow of dreams right there in the hammer pegs.
Oh my goodness. I mean, this could be a blessing and a curse for Andy. It might prevent him from doing something potentially unneeded, or it might, you know, just hold him off from what could have put him ahead of Chris. But we'll know later, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Mire in Keysanity is fairly lucrative because normally that dungeon just has a bunch of small keys in it, but it can have a lot of value instead.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about Keysanity is just that all the chests in a dungeon are always in play. So there's always potential for cool stuff to be found. Meanwhile, in the C-shaped house for Chris, another key to Pod. So that's our first one of those. It's finally starting to make some inroads into the dungeons with the most keys here.
Yeah, that's important. I think we'll see a dip into Thieves to check the first 4 chests. Usually a pretty quick check. Can jump in and out. And then maybe we'll see Skull Woods with that fire rod pickup that he just got in the chess game.
Okay, Alucard, that was some really impressive commentary timing. I don't know how you pulled that off, but very nicely done.
I try to... There's a commentator's blessing, I guess. I don't know.
Well, we're now going to see that Thieves Town play you mentioned. We're seeing Andy basically kind of following in Chris's footsteps right now. You know, really still only a minor difference, but it's just enough that it's just staying the same amount where Andy is following in Chris's footsteps. He's doing the same things. He's probably going to do them in the same order. He's just going to be slightly behind for a little bit until we start branching off.
Yeah, I think the only information that Andy really has over Chris is Agina. I think that was the only thing that they kind of did differently. Andy digging here for some magic, I'm sure. And he'll be well rewarded with that Turtle Rock small key, which, I mean, we're pretty close to beating Turtle Rock. We just need a couple more small keys, and we can actually beat the dungeon.
Well, speaking of small keys, we also picked up another Mire small key, Christos, in the last chest of the front of Thieves Town. That one's a Freudian slip. So he's going to head out now. He's got all of the front section there, but picking up 2 Mire small keys already. So now even that left side might be in logic, and maybe that is, you know, more heavily hinting, yeah, go do it. Go do the thing.
Ooh, so routing divergence here from Andy compared to Christos. Andy has decided to pick up the frog, so he won't be able to go into Thieves Town until he delivers the Smith, and without the mirror, you're gonna have to save and quit.
That's interesting. And he will do the hammer pegs check, which doesn't yield anything, unfortunately. But Yeah, this is, perhaps showing kind of a slight preference for overworld clearing on Andy, and he will also have a chance to do that magic bat, so he probably had that in the back of his head and was thinking about it, and that factored into his decision making most likely.
Yeah, not bad at all. Did find another small key to Ganon's tower in Skullwoods and some other junk. So we don't have the big key right now. We're gonna have to come back later, but with a sword, with the fire rod, and with the red cane to actually speed this next statue room up, we'll be able to clear the back half.
Yeah, and I think, for I would say the majority of randomizer players, they're going to look at, I've got green mail, 9 hearts, they're not full, and only fighter sword. I really don't want to do Mothula. But for players of this caliber, they're just going to be like, it's fast, I'm here, I should probably go do it, maybe.
Yeah, it's completable. That's really what it comes down to. Christos with some jukes there. And we got Magic Bat for Andy coming in with a map to Thieves Town. Good intel.
Yep, we'll be able to find out what that is. It'll probably tell him to, hey, idiot, go into Thieves Town. But we'll see as we have Christos heading to the back half of Fire Rod. Alucard, I can't say words today. I think you need to take over.
So we're in Fire Rod now, and we are in the back half. We're gonna have to use our Skullwoods to kill these mummies, and then we'll beat Fire Rod.
Perfect. That's definitely it. And he does seem to be heading back towards Thieves Town. He'll check the chess game first. Looks like he hadn't already gotten that out of the way, but then I would expect he'll be heading into the dungeon, pick up the various niceties that were there, and then maybe also go to stall as Christos did.
All right, here's that moth fight. Gonna bust out that hammer. Certainly a worthwhile thing, but you don't want to get caught in a bad place here.
Yeah, and Mothula's movement being really awkward. Plus, if you knock him into the spikes, your damage gets eaten. But Chris managing to cleanly dispatch him very quickly, as you might expect from someone with his... Oh my god.
And it's a pendant, too. That's the best part about all of this.
Yep, so now we have all the information. We know all the crystals and pendants because we know that the 3 pendants are Desert Palace, Skullwoods, and the green being in Misery Mire, and therefore we know all the crystals as well.
And we're piling on those Misery Mire small keys, which, I mean, I really think Misery Mire is a strong play right now.
Yeah, I feel like I would head, immediately to Misery Mire right now at this moment, and just have that be the next play.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks to go in there with this equipment for defeating Vitreous. Like, you may want to load up on bombs or something before you head over there, because we have Fighter Sword, we have Hammer to kill the little eyeballs, but that's about it. Like, maybe you can use the cape a little bit with some spins, but that's not going to last you long.
Yeah, so Chris actually just... You mentioned loading up. Chris loaded up on hearts in Link's house. He actually went out of his way to get all 3. So he is definitely heading into Mire now. And he also did his map check to see that Desert Palace was a pendant. So I think that also gives him that full knowledge that we have as commentators now.
Right. I think another interesting play that can be made with Fire Rod and Bombos in hand, and with the hammer, and the big key for Ice Palace, we can do Ice Palace with fake flippers. It is out of sequence, but it is a play that can be made, and it is a crystal.
Yeah, having the big key and the small key and the cane makes it really nice to do. I mean, you can even full clear it, intentionally skipping the bomb jump, and it's technically faster. Let's see what strats Chris uses here with this cane. I really like this. There's so many cool ways of doing this first room here, and making use of the cane, and pretty quick, not getting them on the first cycle there, but 2 is pretty good considering he didn't have sword beams to take advantage of.
And look out for those bomb drops. You saw him snatch them up there. The more bombs you have going into this Vitreous fight, the better. It can really help speed up the fight when you're just on Fighter Sword. Yeah,
I mean, the ideal would be that he just finds the bow in here, and then he's just set. He just spam silver arrows into the eyeballs. But yeah, without that, there's going to be a lot of bombs thrown. There's going to be some probably some caping. He does have the cape accessible, which they both picked up in that third chest of Thieves Town. But I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he'll get lucky and have something a little nicer to deal with Vitreous.
Certainly. Andy quickly getting through Skull Woods. It's such a quick dungeon. It's so worth it to jump in here when you get the fire rod.
Yeah, like especially if you can think of one dungeon where you could spend some time to learn like the boss strats with low resources so that you can do it as soon as possible, I'd say this is definitely a very strong one because it's so far off in the distance. Visiting it again is kind of a pain in the butt, and just getting it out of the way, there's a really good likelihood of stuff being there. The big key of Skull Woods coming from the vanilla big key location in Mire, there might be something in that chest now, so that's great.
Well, that's one of the beauties of Keysanity is that it really can add in some extra fetch quests for us.
We have Andy decided to navigate that the whole room there in Skull Woods a little more thoroughly, as he's kind of low on magic, so he wants to make sure he can actually light all these lamps. And now he's doing a little bit of a jig with these Gibdos and having a good old time here.
I don't blame him. I mean, Moth's a tough fight. You want to have some magic on hand. Even just to fire rod to get Mothula out of the corner. Sometimes he can just camp in the corner and it sucks.
Yeah, we'll see how his fight goes here as he'll start momentarily. So far, nothing in Misery Mire for Chris except that except that Skull Woods big key. A whole bunch of rupees. I guess that's nice.
I think Christos will be doing a really cool strat here, using the hook shot to check this bridge item. If you think he skipped it, he should be able to pick it up right now.
Yep.
Oh my god! Whoa!
Perfect.
Unbelievable. And we've got this clean fight from Andy here on Mothula. Beautifully done. Christos making some plays here, though, and he's going to go fight Vitreous. As you said, just throw some silver arrows at him, no problem.
Yep.
Never did have it.
And with 50 silver arrows, I think he's going to be fine on ammo, so... Oh my god. I'm sorry, that was just too funny. I'm just like...
It's coming in the clutch. Yeah, like, that's about the best place.
Alright, so we'll see if Andy does now make that Mire play. He wanted to earlier. He just was a little bit shy on magic. He will skip picking up the hearts, but I'm guessing he's pretty likely to make this play right now.
Andy's hesitating a little bit, but looks like he wants to go for the ice play.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Realizes he doesn't have the flippers. And changes his mind and is going to Mire. Oh, okay. So I think that kind of swayed him the other direction, not having flippers. Because logically, that makes ice a little bit worse.
Yeah, exactly. He probably had a moment where he just kind of combined seeds in his mind or something like that, and just was like, "Oh man, I'm ready to go to ice because I have like the stuff that I want. I have flippers." And then when he realized he didn't have flippers, he's like, "Oh."
That's the kind of critical thinking you got to do on the fly. You got to make that split-second decision. It's like, do I fake flipper here and go into ice anyways? You know what? I'm going to go to Mire, and I'm going to get a bow. I don't know it yet, but I'm going to go get a bow. Probably beat Vitreous.
Well, Chris, having picked up the green pendant and finished Mire in its entirety, is going to be heading towards Sahasala to check that green pendant right now, and also has the bow. So he'll probably be doing Eastern first, I guess. I know things about Randomizer, yeah.
Well, this makes sense. He can clean up Eastern and then he can jump out and check the hospital. Unfortunately, we don't have the mirror still, so we can't actually go to Pod and then mirror back to Eastern, but it is what it is. I'm sure Pod will be on these guys' minds soon, but they only have one key. So it'll be
exactly. the big key is nice, but since we only have one small key, you can actually get to the back. You can clear the vast majority of pod with just one small key and the big key, thanks to the hammer jump, which of course both runners will be very familiar with as no major glitches speedrunners. But we'll see whether they opt to do that before other stuff that's maybe more in logic. Of course, Armos might just give him flippers or something, and then ice is heavily indicated.
Agreed. But I guess let's take a look at what we actually need right now, because we actually have a lot of items, a lot of major items. We definitely need the mirror because we do have to get into swamp. Need a pile of Turtle Rock small keys. I believe we need a swamp small key and a Thieves Town big key and a Tower of Hair big key. So there's still a good number of things left to collect, and of course the flippers that we just talked about.
Correct, and fortunately we're good on medallions thanks to both medallion dungeons being bombos. But yeah, the lack of Turtle Rock small keys is a problem with pod, unless something is like, buried deep in there. You actually could just finish the dungeon with one small key. Maybe there's actually no progression there. It's pretty unlikely, but it is possible. Armor's not having the hilarious commentator's blessing flippers, instead opting for a bomb upgrade. But this is actually the first crystal for either runner right now.
Hooray! No more pendants. Good news. Except there is.
I mean,
maybe desert will be a thing. I don't know. Oh, Pedestal Dream is still alive.
Yeah, it's not out of the question, but of course they haven't seen that DP big key, so they can't finish desert yet to do that. And just the big 20 from Sahasrara. So now where to, Chris? Where are you gonna go?
It's like Palace of Darkness, or maybe Pyramid into Catfish. Could be reasonable.
Or possibly both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is pretty reasonable. You have, thanks to bow and hammer, you have access to a ton of pod. There's Andy's bow for him on that bridge in Misery Mire. So now they both have the bow, and Andy's just having to follow in Chris's footsteps right here. Chris is, as a result of kind of, the seed hasn't been that, I don't want to use the word linear, but it has kind of just led both runners in a similar path, even though there's been kind of a lot of stuff open at any given time.
But I think here is where things can really divert. Andy can decide, what, I want to go into ice anyways by fake flippering, and maybe that's the right play. Maybe we find some sweet value there. I mean, we know we're not going to find the flippers there, but you can certainly find, Mirror or some cool keys there. I mean, we can go up to Turtle Rock and check a little bit in there. Is that really worth it? Probably not going to be on these guys' minds, but that could be a play that these guys make.
There's that vanilla pod key, so they now have 2 pod keys implicitly. That's great. Always a good time.
Well, that's awesome. And we can check a little bit more pod while we're here. I think that's a great thing to find.
Yeah, they're gonna get so Chris is gonna go down the bow side here. He's going to get access to those 2 bow side chests. Then he'll use the hammer to access the main area of the dungeon, where he'll get another 2 chests. He'll also have the key, which he can open the back side of the dungeon, and he'll be able to access the 3 chests, including the dark basement, and also bomb jump over to the big chest and the 2 chests in the dark maze. So he's got like, that's at least 1 million chests, dude.
It's a ton. And it looks like Andy's gonna be following suit. We'll probably see him go clean up Eastern and stuff. There's a Turtle Rock small key. We're almost there. We need 1 more. And we can actually do a clear on Turtle Rock without checking the vanilla big key chest.
Oh no. Have we seen a lumberjack ledge check? I don't think we did.
I don't think these guys took the time to do it, which, now that's becoming more interesting, but we still need to find a second castle tower key that does access 2 chests in Aga Tower.
That's right. So Not super likely that Aghanim is going to come back to be in play, but you never know here.
But that's now kind of an interesting option for these guys as well.
Chris having some brief issues with his bridge room routing here, but he is squared away now, so he's going to head up to the back, use one of his 2 keys, and open his way back here. We'll see whether he chooses to open either the Harmless Hellway or the big key chest location in Palace of Darkness, both, of course, eating a key in exchange for 1 location. So it's kind of tempting to say, I'm actually going to save this key and be a little cautious. Hey, there's that swamp key.
That's excellent. So once we do get the mirror and the flippers, then we will be able to just clear Swamp Palace. We don't have the big key there, but you don't need it to actually finish the dungeon.
1 green rupee in that vanilla compass chest and pod, and he does opt to check the Hellway for another 300 rupees, so eventually he will have plenty of money to be able to buy his whatever from Zora. We don't know yet what it is because neither runner's checked it, but now we're going to see some bomb jumping.
Yeah, that Zora item has been available for a long time. If it is something really crucial, it'll be funny.
Yeah, there's never really been a good opportunity to route it in. Ether Medallion for Chris, but it's not really needed in this particular seed, so whatever. Big 20 from the Dark Maze. I don't know. We'll see if if they ever get that mirror, but if they don't and the flippers are late, I would be really surprised to see anyone go to Zora like for a while. And if it is something required, oh well.
And again, we can fake flipper to Ice Palace and do a full clear. It's not a bad play to grab a crystal. I mean, these guys are well versed in sequence breaking. I know they tend. I think they talked in interviews before, they tend not to sequence break in Keysanity because it can really throw you off and lead you down some bad paths. But I think Christos might be going for it.
That does appear to be the Ice Palace play. Yeah, he's not checking the other stuff like Hobo or whatever. He's just saying, no, I know this is the crystal. I know I can full clear it. It's going to be required. Let's just go see what's there.
See a lot of people wishing for vanilla flippers out there.
Alright, so Andy, having finished up Eastern and turned in his green pendant, appears to be heading up to Death Mountain. So we'll see what specifically he opts to do, but we might be seeing that Hera basement potentially.
Well, the way he's going, I want to say he's doing a Spike Cave check. Oh, he's going back for the small cave.
Right. Hover attempt number 2.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. As you mentioned, this is not a small cost hover to miss, unfortunately.
Sadly. Christos finding some more cash there in the first chest in Ice, so gonna delve deeper. Probably be a little while before we see anything else from Ice. Everything else is kind of buried at the bottom of Ice, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, we won't even get the pleasure of seeing like the kind of go mode, no major glitches Ice Palace, since this is Keysanity and there's such a high likelihood of things being required. And coming to Ice Palace this early too, of course, pretty much he's going to be full clearing it. We'll see. Instead, we'll get to see like the Keysanity style routing of the dungeon. Looks like he will go for a bomb jump. He doesn't have to. He could just go ahead and not, and still full clear the dungeon. But it's really kind of just personal preference.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily bad. I mean, he will have to fall down and then climb back up eventually. But he can do some clever other bomb jumping to maybe speed this up. So we'll see how he decides to route it.
Yeah, I'm expecting we're going to see that bomb jump from him, and that'll probably well, I guess it's a double bomb jump, right? So that'll probably make it still pretty quick. And Andy now heading into the Dark World and checking what appears to be Pyramid and possibly Catfish as well. So this is our first actual sight of the Pyramid here.
Christos getting loaded up on rupees and ice. This is crazy. There's at least 600 in there after finding 300 in pod.
All right, Andy finds another pod key. Chris finds another Turtle Rock key. So we're finally starting to find more and more of those keys. And Andy says, okay, I'm heading straight back to pod right now.
Oh, no. Now we're going to want to look at that lumberjack item. Because that is our second castle tower key. Ouch.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's kind of a late stage for that to be happening, but at the same time, it's randomizer, you never know. Looks like Chris is not opting for that bomb jump, so he'll just check the big chest, and then he'll make his way around to the chest known as the iced tea chest, because it's a room shaped like a T. We're really clever in randomizer.
We try. Pretty creative, guys.
What is... I'm wondering about that key with pod for Andy. What even would be in logic in pod to potentially be progression right now, just based on that additional key? Is there anything?
We haven't seen the vanilla big key chest, right? And in theory, if he wants, he can go kill Helmasaur King while he's here. He could do that instead.
Right. I want to say that chest isn't in logic with only 3 keys, but I don't remember offhand.
Well, what's weird is, having access to a lot more areas of the world, like, you kind of throw that logic out the window, but in logic, I would say that it's not.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's very hard to say, like, when it's correct or when it's better to, like, stick to what's in logic or not. I feel like for a period of time during a given seed, you want to say, okay, I'm doing what the seed kind of is telling me to do or expects me to do. But then, yeah, beyond that, at a certain point, you just start saying, okay, now I'm doing whatever is available to finish as fast as possible.
Agreed. So Christos going to be taking on Cold Stare now. We still only have Fighter Sword, so we're going to have to rely on our Fire Rod and our Hammer here quite a bit. And only Green Mail.
Thankfully, Bomba is allowing us to break the shell with less than the full bar of magic. Chris has got the puffs in the corners, so he's going to go with some hammerheads, and good God, that's a lot of them, dude. Look at that.
The damage! Oh my goodness.
That was a work of art. That's Cold Stare down. Good gosh.
That was beautiful. And our first bottle from Cold Stare. Crazy, at 52 minutes in.
All right, sick kid. What have you got? We have actual medicine for you this time.
And he grabs that swamp small key. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to set up a death warp or something around here. But he is going to check that harmless hellway, so no difference between the two of these guys so far.
You know, one thing I think we didn't see from Chris is I don't think he mirrored back... Or, sorry, not mirrored back, but returned back to the beginning of the dungeon via Death Warp to check the drop-down chest. I don't believe we saw that, and that one's a very easy one to kind of forget about if you enter via the bow side, because it's a huge pain to get to. Oh my god, this kid has a mushroom.
It continues. Oh, goodness.
And of course, he's going to go straight to turn it in, which is really the only reasonable decision. So, all right, mushroom, what do you yield?
Well, it could still be the shovel.
Please, dude.
Oh. Magic ain't bad, though. That's a nice reward.
Yeah, he will take it, but it's not quite the progression he wanted. He's floating away. He's not going to head up to Zora or anything. I mean, it makes sense, but you still got that in the back of your mind.
But I think this play makes a lot of sense. We can go to Turtle Rock with 3 small keys and the big key. We got the bombos. We got what we need to get the job done. We'll be skipping the vanilla big key chest, but we might find a small key for Turtle Rock in Turtle Rock. I mean, that's happened a number of times. I've already seen that in Pod here.
That actually could potentially be pretty annoying because they don't have the mirrors, so I mean, they do have the option to Death Warp, of course, and fortunately no inconvenient fairies in their possession at the moment.
All right, so it looks like Andy is going to be checking this drop-down chest that you mentioned earlier, so this will be interesting. I think he's going for the vanilla big key chest. He is not going to be defeating King Helmasaur unless he finds another small key in here.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. I mean, it could be right, it could be wrong. We won't know for a little while, even if this chest pays off. Depends on where that next pod key shows up. So we got a big 20 from the big key chest, so not quite what we're looking for, but the drop-down chest is the big one. This one Chris didn't check, and it's just a piece of heart, so Chris lucks out today.
Ouch, yeah. That's just pulling Christos just a little further ahead. But we still have some game left, and if he decides to go back and check those locations, then he's going to sink the same amount of time.
Now, Andy is heading up to Turtle Rock, I believe, and he did not go into Ice Palace, so he didn't...
Wow! That was accessible fairly early on. You know,
yeah.
once they got to the Dark World, they just had to get Bombos out of... Oh yeah, it was like right in Hookshot Cave.
Yep. So they could have had the flippers for like absolutely ages. That's something.
What's interesting about that is with a small key for Turtle Rock and Ice Palace, the game expected you to come in here and get those flippers and then go to Ice to get that small key.
Yeah, it's a really nice sequence break for Chris, and he's picking up his second bottle as well. I think that would have been available pretty early too because of the Fire Rod and Hookshot. Well, I guess the Hookshot's not required for this, but it would have been easy to get. In any case, Andy is he's going to do the Hera basement, so this is an interesting play.
This is really interesting. I mean, it signals that he's doing this like right before he's going into T-Rock. I think that's pretty sensible, and it looks like he's trying to take some hits here. And where did he go? I don't
know. Is this some sort of iframe glitch I don't know about?
I don't understand what's happening right now. Did he like flip into the wall?
Oh no! He might have. Oh no! He triggered EG. Oh my god, dude! Why? What do you even do? I think he has to. Is he trying?
I think he's bombing himself right now to die.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Fortunately, it's okay. If this happens by accident, it's not considered cheating or anything at all. He's trying to rectify the situation. He gets to restart at the beginning of the dungeon, and we get to continue the race. So it's all good.
Yeah, it's just a really unfortunate time loss that he really didn't need because he already is a bit behind. Now, of course, if the basement does have something, then you know, suddenly he could be back ahead, or at least you know, have kind of a mutual advantage with Chris. You know, one other thing that neither runner has access to that Chris is about to pass by is Mimic Cave.
Oh, ouch. If that's holding one of our important keys, that's going to be brutal. We're going to have to come back for that one.
I think the worst case scenario is like Mimic Cave has something important and Mire is right here in Hera Basement right now for Andy.
Oh my god, yeah, you would expect Christos to put that off for pretty much forever.
Alright, well, he's in luck, because it's just a big 20.
Yeah, these plays are just not working out for Andy. Like, the game's even like, you know what, you're going EG for a little bit. But, it gets it out of the way. So, again, we have plenty of game left to search through. So if these out-of-the-way locations are checked by Christos later, you know, they may end up being kind of a slow route for him.
Yeah, it especially depends on, you know, we talked about the troll item later, or earlier on here. If the troll item is just super deeply buried, then Chris could easily end up having to check every single one of the same troll locations that Andy's checking.
All right, laser skips. These are always fun. Got a pod key.
We have some more rupees. We have
Lovely.
a fall.
Oh no. Lots of
And
rupees.
wow.
2 blue rupees on laser bridge. Quality.
So many rupees. So between that pod key and the one that was on the pyramid, that is 4, which is actually enough for either runner to full clear the dungeon because they hammer jumped. But Christos, of course, not having gone to the pyramid, does not have that key. Meanwhile, Andy will pick up his flippers now. Chris will head on to the boss.
Christos did have to scramble there. He was getting bodied by that pokey and did have to pop his blue potion. So with half magic and full health, I expect this Hammer Trinex to be pretty solid, and he's even going for these backdoor strats.
Oh, I hate Hammer Trinuts, dude. A lot.
Half magic makes this a lot easier because you can just nuke the right side head right after you take care of the left.
Yeah, it's a great way to make use of that time after you've killed the first head where you can't reopen the menu. Just get some more hits in, get some more damage in, save a little bit of time. Oh, Andy taking a death, but fortunately it's in a place that is really convenient, effectively.
Yeah, it's really not that bad, and he can get all his magic back here. All right, so Trinex down. Nice fight from Christos. What will our reward be? A key. For the tower. Not so interesting.
Well, you know, we are still on Fighter Sword. And I have seen a race with Andy this tournament where he did have to find a sword in Ganon's tower. So, you know, we'll see.
That's true. We could find, you know, a book in Ganon's tower, and then we could have all our swords at the tablets, and I don't know, at the shovel spot. We also find in Ganon's tower could just be Fetch Tower for all we know.
Oh boy, we're seeing a little bit of Spike Cave from Chris. This is one of the one-off locations that Andy has not yet checked. Another, you know, location that I'm thinking about we haven't really seen yet is the purple chest.
That's right. Andy did kind of half of that bit there by returning the dwarfs, reuniting them. And it looks like Spike Cave is a dud. So where will Christos go next? That is the question. Can't really get into Swamp. Can't do more of Thieves. We can go back to Pod. That might be a pretty good thing to do. Can go back up to Hera Basement, but we know that's not really any good. Where do we go, Villagin? Where do we go?
Well, Chris is answering the question already. He is heading back into Pod, or possibly doing those overworld checks. It's a little dicey to head back into Pod with only 3 keys when you've already gone in with 2. So I'm curious if he is going to say that. But then again, as you said, there's so few options right now. He is heading into Pod. This is kind of the only play in a lot of ways, other than something awful like going into Hera Basement.
So we did see Andy do kind of like a heart refresh death there, I think.
Oh, this is one of my favorite like little routing tricks. So he took an intentional death and saved. He knows he can't finish the dungeon, so he got a save off there, and now he's going to check with the pokey key. He's going to check this big key chest location in Turtle Rock, and he'll see what's in there. We didn't even get to see this from Chris because when you do this, you have to save and hard reset.
Oh my god, the mirror!
Wow!
And he can go to Mimic Cave right now. That's a huge deal right there. That's a deal breaker.
This is like the thing that Andy needed to save himself right now, because Christos has such a big advantage from having gone to Ice Palace and gotten the Turtle Rock key and been able to finish the dungeon. Now, when is Chris going to go back to that? He has to get the 4th key to Turtle Rock too. Where's that going to be?
Oh, that could be anywhere. That could be in a lot of places. The game could force you to, you know, It can't be in swamp. We know that. But it's gonna be somewhere deep in one of these other dungeons, I guess. Could be in purple chest, like we talked about earlier.
That's true. And I mean, that mirror is strictly required. A lot of seeds you can get away without it, but this one, swamp is a crystal. You need the mirror. You can't get around that. So at some point, Christos got to head back up there. But same for Andy. He's got to get into Ice Palace sooner rather than later. But he does have the flippers now, so it is in logic and it's indicated, and we'll see if he's going to get there sooner rather than later.
And with some quick thinking here, Andy does remember that there's a big key on Spectacle Rock. There is a small key on Floating Island, so he may clean both of these up real quick. See what they are, because they could be really important. Like, hey, that's convenient. Tower Pair Big Key. We need that.
Of course, dude. Just, of course. Why wouldn't it be?
And that's actually going to open up the big bomb, the Pyramid Fairy. So we are going to have 2 more items in addition to the ones we find here in Hera.
This is such a, this is such an interesting and fascinating way of looking into how Keysanity can kind of mess with you, because the literal only reason that Andy even checked that chest, he wouldn't have done it if he had 3 keys. He would have finished Turtle Rock, but because he had 2, he went back and checked that chest in particular, and Hera's given him the small key to Thieves Town, so all he needs is that big key, and he can full clear that dungeon with confidence. Wow, dude, just what a turn of events for Andy right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure, after fighting Mire and then finding the small key to Thieves Town, which was kind of a deal breaker in game 1 of this matchup, he's got to be feeling good.
Yep, we're gonna see some Moldorm from Andy, and of course, this fight often referred to as Trolldorm, but generally when you're as experienced as these runners are, it's not too bad to manipulate him and be able to avoid getting knocked into any of the pits here, and just make your way safely to the end of the fight.
5 arrow upgrade and just crystal, but it's an important one. It's one that gets us to the Pyramid Fairy. It's progress towards getting to Ganon's Tower, so good on Andy.
Christos doing some of these swimming checks. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of these from Andy too in the near future, but first he's going to do that Spike Cave check and get his bomb upgrade there. Oh, that's vanilla bottle for Chris.
Now I'm really curious about where this 4th Turtle Rock key is, because, they both have to get it at some point. It is required.
Yep. Christos is going to need it for that mirror, and he's going to need... He needs the one in Ice Palace, which he'll get as a matter of course, but then, yeah, he's going to need that 4th one to just open the door to Trinex.
I think maybe Swamp might be on Andy's mind right now. We can also check a couple mirror locations down here. Well, I guess really just one. Do we know what's on the floating island? Or not floating island, Lake Hylia Island?
I don't... You know what? We probably should have seen it when Chris just went by a minute ago, but I missed it.
Yeah, I missed it too. But he is going to be doing the big bomb, Pyramid Fairy, okay.
Yeah, this isn't a bad play. It seemed like those 2 crystals being so kind of quote-unquote accessible. It seemed like there was a good chance you were going to want to do this, so we'll see what Andy ends up getting here. But Chris, meanwhile, checking that waterfall fairy, picking up a map of Turtle Rock, which is not super helpful, and a pod small key. So now he has 4 there, and he can finish that dungeon. If he gets the one on Pyramid, he can even open the front door and make his return trip a little bit quicker.
Speaking of Pyramid, we got Andy about to do this Pyramid Fairy. It'll be interesting if he decides to route in Aga Tower with this. That's something that we also haven't seen. And with the mirror, we can actually get into Aga Tower pretty quickly.
Yeah, basically the mirror is the routing item that you dream of. It helps you so much in being able to lump together certain things. I wouldn't be surprised to see Andy head to Catfish and do that, and then mirror back to check Zora and the ledge item and all this stuff that Chris is currently working on.
Yeah, get that compass from Zora. No problem.
What a thoroughly useful item. seems like the ledge wasn't useful either, as Chris has skipped that. So I guess there's not really going to be much payoff if Andy does that. The pod key, I guess, will be nice.
Funny enough, it looks like Christos is going to Agate Tower as well. Running out of options, I guess.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. It's gonna just kind of, much the same way that Andy kind of was bleeding time by kind of going to one-off locations one by one before doing the same things that Chris was doing. Now Chris is going to be bleeding that time because he doesn't have the mirror to, make his routing more efficient.
Agate Tower's a bust. Seeing lots of compasses here. I guess we haven't been seeing them, so they're finally turning up.
Technically, those are in logic to collect the crystals from any given dungeon, but they're not in logic to beat the boss, so whatever.
Yeah, I don't think these guys are gonna even think for a second about that. I think the sewers chest has not been checked here by Andy, at least.
Did we see this from Christos either?
I want to say that we haven't seen it at all.
I think that's right, yeah. I mean, when they first came here, in addition to not having the lamp, I think they didn't even have, like, a sword. They didn't have, like, anything to really make this reasonable to navigate in the dark, so they probably just said it would take longer to do than would really be worth it. But I guess now we'll see. Maybe it turns out to be that Turtle Rock key.
No, sir. I'm sure ice is also on Andy's mind now. Being able to actually fully clear it. I mean, but he'll probably end up going up to Catfish and Zora, because it's just nice routing to take care of it.
Yeah, there he goes. Chris, meanwhile, he is kind of, he's kind of stretching his brain. Where is this thing? So he's heading in to check this big chest in Skull Woods, for which I think he got the key back in, like, back in, like, Misery Mire or something.
Nice to have, but probably an item we're not going to see too much of. The blue cane. We do have the cape as a nice safety already. It can do some damage to some bosses, but I don't expect.
I don't think either of these runners is going to need to do burn up line.
Surprisingly, I learned fairly recently that Burna can rip apart, like, Armos Knights and Landmo pretty well.
Huh,
so
interesting. Oh,
it can be nice.
Dude, there's the Burna you said to get into Bumper Cave, which has a small key.
Immediately used.
Oh man, Andy collecting his pod small key from Waterfall Ferry, and he's gonna head up to Zora, and he'll do the ledge, which is worthless, and Zora, which is just the compass, and Chris is gonna get this key, and it is the remaining Turtle Rock small key.
Oh, okay, interesting. So that is 100% required. And how soon will Christos go up back to Turtle Rock? You gotta think that's one of the last things he's gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, this is a surprising and fortunate routing decision for him, because he didn't have the mirror to route in Graveyard Ledge, which often turns people off of going this North Dark World route. Whereas Andy does have that mirror, so he'll at least be, like, if you're worried about Andy remembering that Bumper Cave exists, he at least will have a higher likelihood of going there because he's got Graveyard Ledge to route in with it.
Exactly. I think Andy is probably on the way to Ice now.
And that way.
After Catfish, I don't know what Christos has left. He may only have that vanilla big key chest in Turtle Rock. That may be one of his only options. Maybe Hera Basement.
Yeah, those two. I guess that's might be enough to cause him to go up there, which if so, that's like a best case for him. He needs to get there very, very much sooner than later. So hopefully, he did opt not to save and quit away from Catfish. We'll see where he's going right now. Possibly
Pod, maybe?
Pod? Yeah, maybe he left a chest behind there.
Well, he hasn't checked the vanilla big key chest, maybe? Which he would have to route all the way around to do?
Yeah, no, I don't even think he's been to Pyramid, actually, so I think he's going to go there. He's going to get that extra pod key, and then might say, okay, I feel okay checking the big key chest now, or whatever.
Okay, that's pretty reasonable. Andy taking this fetch quest to get his half magic, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, baby.
If you didn't want to go to ice before, you definitely want to go to ice now. With some half
Yeah.
magic.
Be able to just fire on everything to death real quick. All right, Alu, where do you think Chris is going right now? He has very few options.
I can't think of... Oh, purple chest. I guess he can do smiths and purple chest. But looks like he hasn't done the old man.
He hasn't.
All right.
Oh, gosh. He's going to get his piece of heart and be a little bit disappointed, but, wow.
These are all these one-off things that we were talking about earlier that Christos did skip. So this is giving Andy a good chance to catch up on these dungeons, because Christos is ahead on the dungeons.
Yeah, Andy's heading into Ice Palace and doing the, he's going to do this full clear, but he's going to be able to collect his 3rd Turtle Rock Small Key, the 4th one still being on Bumper Ledge. And he is also going to collect another Pod Key, which will make him incredibly confident about finishing that dungeon off. Nice fairy drop.
Christos trying to decide what he wants to do there. Just kind of spinning in place, but decides, you know what, let's get to Harrow the slow way, because I think that's what's on his mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's really only the 2 things up here. He doesn't have the mirror to get that small key on the mountain ledge. Which, speaking of which, I don't think Andy picked up either.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe he's thinking about routing that in with Turtle Rock later. It's the only thing I can think of, but he should be thinking that it could be a TR key, so I don't know.
Yeah, of course we know that it's not. So we actually, I guess we know that that key is not required. At least it might be in logic, but it's not required for either runner to get.
Correct. So at this point, we are really just looking for that Thieves Town big key.
Andy performing the Ice Palace bomb less hover there.
Might as well show off a little bit. You're on the big stage. You can do a little swag for us.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just that Thieves Town big key. They have everything else they need to complete the run except Alucard, a Master Sword.
That's true. We do need a sword upgrade. I imagine there's going to be at least one in Ganon's Tower or something. So, I mean, they don't really want to do a clear on Ganon's Tower, but, you know, there's got to be one at least one in there. So they're probably not worried as much about that, since they can still, like, check, you know, Swamp Palace along the way, or, you know, there's a lot of games still to explore before they actually would have to worry about that, really.
Yeah, it's just one of those annoying things that you don't want that last item you have to find to be a sword, because then you have to search all GT, and it's just time consuming. And in fact, if this race comes down to just like a few minutes difference, then it could easily be the case that kind of determines it at the end if one of them takes the, you know, quote unquote wrong side of Ganon's Tower.
True, very true. Or like one decides to just go up the tower and hope there's one in the last few chests. That could be pretty exciting.
I don't know if my heart can handle that, to be quite honest. I might need like a defibrillator or something.
Some more swag hovering from Andy there in ice. And Christos is making the play on Turtle Rock. This is really good for Christos. He will likely be heading to Mimic Cave as well, since it's so close by. And so he'll waste a little bit of time there as well.
Yeah, so this actually works out incredibly well for him, and basically means that they're going to be either like tied effectively or very close. I think actually this is going to leave Christos still ahead of Andy, because Andy still has to finish Pod. But then again, there's those couple chests in Pod that Chris hasn't checked, and he might get, you know, kind of distracted by those potentially.
Once he finds the mirror, he absolutely, like, you know, will start going for mirror-locked locations, though. Like, that seems... I imagine Swamp is going to be pretty soon.
Oh, and a great point from chat that, I mean, Andy will still have to finish Turtle Rock as well. So actually, Christos is still in great position thanks to the fact that he's going back for this soon.
Yeah. Well, it might really be the last thing he can do. I'm not sure. Because that mirror locks away a lot of the game right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's between this blacksmith purple chest, and I would much rather this with a mirror than either of those two things, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Alright, Hammer Cold Stare coming at you right now. Gonna switch over to Fire Rod and start nuking these puffs.
A few misses there, so he does run out of magic, but that's alright. He'll just finish them off with a few more hammer hits. Had to wait for the first puff to die before he could use the menu again, but there you go. Cold Stare is fricasseed and no longer lives. And Chris has picked up his mirror and will head out to Mimic Cave, as mentioned.
I mean, if this had something important, you just don't want to leave it behind. You've come all the way here. This is certainly something you want to be thorough about.
Yeah,
For a
absolutely.
needle in a haystack. Just bite the bullet.
He did have a moment right after he picked up that mirror where he was just kind of dancing around like, oh god. It might have been, you know, kind of one of those panic moments like, oh no, what has happened? I'm in so much trouble. But you know, he really actually isn't in that much trouble because of the advantage he built up from his earlier game decisions. So he actually does still have a lead over Andy right now, who it looks like he'll be hitting up Bumper Cave pretty shortly. So he will get that last Turtle Rock key.
Looks like he's gonna clean up this big chest and get his cane of Brian real quick.
Yay.
Well, it's solid routing at the very least, and we could see a graveyard ledge check as well.
Yeah.
Which is something we haven't seen, which could be really interesting.
Yeah, that's part of the nice thing about Andy having the mirror earlier is that it just indicates Graveyard Legend with this routing. I was actually really a little bit surprised that Chris did route in Bumper Cave prior to having that mirror for Graveyard Ledge, but it does make sense given how few options he had.
Yeah, it was coming down to the wire for him, but he's jumping in the swamp. There's a lot of items in swamp, and again, we're looking for that Thieves Town big key. He has not gone up to Spectacle Rock to claim his Hera big key, so he's also kind of looking for that. So if he does find the Thieves Town big key in here, he's going to probably keep searching and full clear the dungeon.
Yep, that's a good point. Meanwhile, Andy is picking up his Turtle Rock small key and will be making that trip over to check out the Graveyard Ledge. And he did, I believe, already check out the Catfish, plus he did the mirror to everything else up in Zora, so he doesn't need to do that, but we'll see what's in this Graveyard Ledge right now. Still no check of that.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
That's Thieves Town
wow.
big key. That is a big deal. That is a big deal. We were saying Christos is still ahead with all his dungeon clears, but he's going to have to full clear everything.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And Andy, meanwhile, at 1 hour and 23 minutes, is in sword mode.
Yeah, almost go mode. We do need a sword upgrade, so that could be in Swamp. That could give Christos an advantage here for full clearing. But, you know, Andy's going right into Thieves, and we haven't seen some of the chests here, so he's probably going to check these. They're really easy to check, and along the way, we have the small key for Thieves Town. We have everything we need to full clear this dungeon.
Yeah, kind of one of the advantages of Thieves Town, such as it is that if you have to full clear it versus if you have to regular clear it, it's practically the same amount of time. The only chest that takes like a significant amount of time to go get is that big chest, and it's really not that much.
It's well worth it when you're sitting on Fighter Sword. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, we're just waiting for both runners kind of to get through these sections where there aren't really a lot of items. Ellie, where do you think it is? Where's the sword? Where are we going to find it?
I want to see 3 swords in rando room.
Wow.
How about you, Bulligan?
I have seen the clip of that, and it's quite something. I would die if there were somehow no swords until the chest after Moldorm 2. That would be something.
I would die if there's like 2 in desert and then 1 at the pedestal or something like that.
Oh,
It'd be the
jeez,
worst.
dude. Oh my goodness. Well, we're fast approaching the sections where there are actually chests to check. Chris will be getting these 2 on the left side of Swamp, the part everyone hates. And Andy did check the attic chest. Nada. That's blue mail, which is nice, but not quite the thing he's looking for. And this chest is a key to Ganon's tower. Yay.
Hey, well that's not bad. We can search Ganon's tower more for the sword. That's what we wanted, right?
Oh,
Cool
map of
for
Swamp for Andy.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, dude.
This is always the worst. It's like, I can actually get to Ganon! Please, just let me. But no, gotta keep searching.
No Swamp big key, so Chris will not worry about that big chest. He just goes on by. And it will be certainly something if he finds the big key after this point in the dungeon. But fortunately, it's not actually required, unless that chest has a thing.
Oh, goodness.
All right, blind for Andy. Should be pretty straightforward if you're well practiced in the no major glitches run. This is effectively a scripted fight, as there's not really any randomness to it.
Yeah, and he's doing it flawlessly already. Oh, there is the big key for Swamp! Oh, goodness. Well, he's gonna check that immediately, because that makes a lot of sense.
I'm sorry, Chris.
And the sword!
Oh, wow! That's it. That is real, legit, actual go mode for Andy at 1 hour 26. Why?
Oh, no. Alright, so Andy is looking really good right now. He has to complete Pod, and he has to go to Swamp. But he can do Swamp in Go mode, which is a really big deal.
Yeah, that's going to save him a ton of time. He still has to finish Turtle Rock, and that's not going to save that much time compared to just the initial visit. But, you know, basically he needs to mad dash to the finish those 3 dungeons as quickly as possible, while Chris needs to make his way to that graveyard ledge, get that Thieves Town big key, and then he knows there's a big key on Spectacle Rock. I would bet he's kind of banking on it to just be the Hera big key, but I don't know. We'll see as he continues along here.
That's true. I mean, he also has, now with the shovel in hand, he has the opportunity to kind of route northwest of Swamp here and can go to south of Haunted Grove. He can hit up like Smiths and do the purple chest and stuff, or he can go north for the graveyard ledge. So like all that's kind of like on the west side of the world ish, except graveyard ledge is a bit far away.
Right, he has a lot of options that are all very enticing and all unfortunately not going to help him, except for the one that is significantly less enticing. So I don't know, it's a tough situation for Chris. Now Andy is he's sort of in the lead, other than, he has more stuff to do. But it's just going to be very hard for Chris to make exactly the correct plays to make up this knowledge gap.
And he's checking this first chest in Swamp. Well, I guess second chest in Swamp. But, wow. I'm a little surprised. But I guess, maybe checking a couple quick chests along the way to see if you can find a Tempered Sword ain't bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else he could even be interested in right now. Pod key? He has 4, and I don't think he needs any more. Maybe he just wants another one so he doesn't have to do the bow side yet again. That could be a thing.
He does have one in his inventory right now. So, I'm a little surprised. But we'll see. Maybe he still thinks he needs some.
Yeah, like he could open the door to get to Helmasaur, but if he had another one, he could just walk through the front door as well. That's really all I can think of is Tempered Sword or that. Or maybe he really wants to be able to quake the, the chest after Moldorm or something.
Assert dominance.
Go out of the tournament with a little swag, whether you win or lose. Alright,
I mean,
dig
you
spot,
made it to
Ellen.
the end, right? Like, but yeah, only bombs at the dig spot here.
That is a shame. He does have the mirror equipped, and he is heading out of here. Did he do the ledge before this, or is he going there now? Yeah, he did
I think
before,
he just
so...
did. So he's heading up to Smith's area. I guess it depends if he decides that he wants to do it or not. I probably would if I were him, because this is right here.
Yep. Unfortunately, he's going to find disappointment from this, and if he's fortunate...
Ooh, I
This
think
is
he
pretty
is
fortunate.
doing Graveyard Ledge with the frog.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is huge. This is a great decision by Chris. He knows there's no other good time for him to route this in. So he's going to get that Thieves Town big key, and then he's going to have a blacksmith in tow, but he will basically just need to finish dungeons at the same time that Andy just needs to finish dungeons.
And then he also needs to make sure he gets that Hera big key on Spectacle Rock. Did he remember that that's there? It's really crucial. Because that could have been the Thieves Town big key for all he knew.
Yeah, I don't recall at the time if that was it was probably not as much of a forget and more likely to be a gamble. He never even checked King's Tomb, which fortunately is just a heart container. That's pretty interesting. It's actually that's kind of fortunate too, kind of helped him in his routing here as well.
Absolutely. So I imagine he's gonna be, turning in the dwarf and then jump right into Thieves, so he'll get his sword, but he's missing the Hera big key, and he's still checking stuff. I wonder if he's forgotten, because this could get him back in the game.
Yeah, this is, wow, it's so hard to tell who's going to come out of this. Let's assume that Chris remembers the big keys there. He is going to go straight to the Spectacle Rock after this, pick up that big key and do Hera, but first he's going to do Thieves Town. And, he's clearing out these other things because he wants to hedge his bets and make sure that he's not going to miss something. But after all that, considering Andy still has to finish Turtle Rock, and Chris will be at Hera at the end, I legitimately cannot tell who's going to come out ahead at the end of all that.
I agree. It'll come down to execution and Ganon's Tower, probably. Because they'll sync up pretty quick.
All right, Andy is heading into pod. Christos has... Oh, he's fluting away from here, which maybe he's just fluting to 3. That's actually slightly faster. I was panicking for just a moment there, but yeah, it is faster to flute to 3, even from right there.
Yeah, I guess Christos is probably actually looking for a sword at all these locations as well, assuming he remembers that there's that big key up on Spectacle Rock. Because he doesn't actually have it yet. He has to defeat Blind, so that's a fair point.
Yeah, so we're gonna see him do the same kind of full clear of Thieves Town. He doesn't have the option to skip chests here because of not having the Hera big key and not having another sword. And he needs to finish up the back half of Pod, and then he has to go all the way up and do all of Turtle Rock, which is not a fast dungeon, but he has a slight head start on these two things that he has versus Christos. This is going to be incredibly close. My heart's already starting to pound really fast.
Yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat, man. These guys always deliver some quality races for us. If you haven't already, make sure you guys follow both ChristosOwen and Andy, they do races all the time. They are, you know, pretty big figures in the community as well. They're involved, you know, Christos is involved with the Randomizer directly. Andy does lots of different Link to the Past runs at many GDQs past. He's been center stage on that
Yeah,
front.
these guys are both incredibly skilled, both at Randomizer and also the, you know, standard speedruns of this game. Of course, no major glitches, but also I think Andy runs every category, and I believe Christos also runs a whole bunch himself.
Also, major shout out to Maxi Mini, rocking the tracker today, making sure we're keeping our heads on straight.
Also, while we're at it, Andy's working on King Helma, which of course is a fairly straightforward fight for him, and he's got like 1 billion hearts, so he's all good. But shoutouts, of course, to all the organizers of this tournament who have managed to wrangle 208 people to present this tournament to you, and of course to the Speed Gaming network of channels bringing you all this action. You know, I'm a huge fan of speed gaming, and you know, there's just so much good stuff to watch on here. You should follow all the speed gaming channels and just like make sure you're watching all these different tournaments that these communities put on. Just there's so much good stuff here.
Yeah, never a dull moment when you're on speed gaming. Always something happening, pretty much 24/7. It's crazy. If there's nothing live, there's always a good VOD to watch.
You know, one nice thing that actually just happened to Chris, he did not go to Hera before Thieves Town, which means he didn't have a small key, which means he didn't have to bother checking that big chest. I mean, it's going to be in the back of his mind, obviously, but he doesn't need it, so it's just a little bit of time savings that he could definitely use right now.
Absolutely. Andy is going off to Turtle Rock. Christos having a beautiful blind fight here. Textbook. He needs to get to Spectacle Rock immediately because he has his sword now. He's good on swords.
It's going to come down to Turtle Rock versus Tower of Hera. Andy having to do the longer dungeon, but he's got about what could be around a minute-ish, minute and a half-ish head start up the mountain. But then they're both going to be up on Death Mountain to be able to have a short trip to Ganon's Tower afterwards. So this is really, really tight right now.
All right, where are you going, Chris? He's going to Desert. Uh-oh.
Oh, no. I'm just kidding. It might not be that tight.
It appears that ChristosOwen has forgotten this location, or maybe is just checking another location. Looks like he's going for the checkerboard cave. Which, I mean, could be like a tempered sword or something.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen this yet. And if it is a tempered sword, it's massive. It's
actually a big key. For desert, I guess.
Yep.
What
do you do, Christos?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Please don't. Please don't, dude. Please don't.
Oh, he got the flute out.
Go to 1. Go to 1.
He went to 1!
Ooh. Okay. Crisis averted.
But Andy is already halfway through Turtle Rock right now. Hera's pretty quick, though. And we don't have to do the basement or anything. So this is going to be really close.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get through Hera pretty quick. But at the same time, since he's coming from the left side of the mountain, he's going to have to go back to the east again later to get the portal to be able to go to Ganon's Tower. So that'll give Andy a little bit of kind of time savings relative to him at the end of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Christos' life flashed before his eyes there as he mirrored in front of the bully and like the little orb guy. Because that guy will talk to you for like half an hour. I kid you not. Torp decided to lengthen the text in that cutscene just to punish you for talking to him.
I think he has like 7 or 8 text boxes. It's really bad, dude.
It's so terrible.
All right, well, we're up to the second to last floor of Hera. Chris is checking for swords, but he's not going to bother with that big chest up there. He's probably a little bit, kind of perturbed that. Wow, Andy's checking laser bridge too.
I was surprised to see Andy here checking laser bridge, but again, the difference between master and tempered sword is a big deal.
It's true, and laser bridge isn't that slow, particularly if you're good at the laser skips there. And Andy was able to pull them off. Meanwhile, Chris is hard at work on Moldorm. He'll have it finished off momentarily. There it is. Andy hasn't even gotten to Trinex yet, so that's not a fast fight either. Sorry, it's not a slow fight either, given, he's got Master Sword, he's got the rods, he's got the half magic. This is going to be so close here. Holy crap.
Yeah, Christos has to get to the Dark World portal and then come back, to this location in the Dark World. Andy's already in the Dark World. This is crazy. This is nuts, guys. This could be another 7-second finish.
And you got to keep in mind, too, Andy's got those boots, and that's going to be something when he gets to Moldorm, too. That'll be a nice little time save. However, we have seen him miss 2 hovers today, so there's also a little bit of potential fear there for him. Maybe he misses a hover and falls to Moldorm 2 instead of just fighting the boss.
Christos is already in the Dark World. Andy is doing the Hammer Trinex right now in Phase 2 and takes him out. Really nice fight, but Christos will be the first into Ganon's Tower.
Shades of Game 1 all over again. Chris gonna have the lead by what appears to be, this one's a little more substantial, maybe 40 seconds or so going into Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, we'll see what the time is when he walks in the door here, and then we can figure it out. But yeah, this cutscene does take a little while. So it looks like 140, 114.
And he's doing his best. He's whipping out some spin speed on the stairs out of Turtle Rock. He's going to try to eke out every frame just as Christos is as they go into Ganon's Tower. Chris heading straight up the tower. There's absolutely no reason to check anything below. He's got a billion keys. He's got the big key. He has his Master Sword. He has his silvers. He is set for the rest of the game.
Mimic 1 is clean. Mimic 2 looking good. These guys know what they're doing. I mean, this is NMG right here for you. Well, I guess with silvers. 140, 152 for Andy. So it looks like we have, a little under 40 seconds.
All right. Well, here it's going to come down to that execution on the gauntlet, on those mini bosses on the way up, the refights, so to speak. So this is going to be it. And last time we saw Andy able to make up a little bit of time over Christos on the way, and then a little more on Ganon. Here we'll see, just how much he can. And then it's really going to come down to little stuff like that Moldorm hover potentially, which is really not little, so I don't know why I described it as such.
It can save a significant amount of time, especially when you're doing those hammer hits.
Chris getting a little bit bodied by the BMOS there, so losing just a tiny bit of time in that room. Doesn't want any mistakes here. Doesn't want to get hit by those spikes. Does not want to be taking damage. He wants to be going as fast as possible. Beautiful dash through those cannonballs by Andy there too.
Really nicely done. Christos making good use of the silver arrows here. Taking out all these enemies. Very nice. And can use them again on Lanmo 2. Decides to grab the ferry here. Not a bad plan. Stay safe. A big time loss will just lose you this game.
And he doesn't manage to get the 0 cycle Landmos as a result because of the cycles being slightly thrown off, but that's a solid one on the second pass of the Landmos, so he is through. But Andy is right behind him, using the fire rod to get effect on this last room, and he is through the gauntlet as well. And he will not be picking up this ferry, so they're going to save a little more time, possibly even pull off a 0 cycle here.
And this is game 3 of the Keysanity Tournament Finals. This is it. Whoever wins this is the champion, so they are just making a mad dash through this tower right now.
And he's putting on a very convincing case to be able to catch up this deficit right now. But again, same story from game 1. He came in just a little bit behind in Ganon's Tower and managed to close the gap to 7 seconds, but not enough to take the victory. Will he pull it off tonight? This is his last chance. He needs to win this to win the match here.
All All right, will Christos check these chests at the end? I imagine he will, based on performance we've seen from previous races. And there's the tempered sword!
Oh, wow. No more chest check. He's done. That's it. I would be shocked if Andy did not also check that, as they did. They both did the exact same thing last time. So that is a great find for both of them. That Ganon fight's going to be way faster and easier.
And there it is for Andy. He's noping right out, and he is on his way to Moldorm 2. Having the Tempered Sword for Moldorm 2 kind of eliminates the hover advantage, I feel.
Oh, wow. And Andy missing one of these bombs. Christos missed a couple bombs in game 1, but Andy managing to have that miss this time. So just losing a little bit of that time there that he really needs. He's not close enough to really be able to afford that. But here goes the hover.
Oh no!
Falls! Wow, Alucard, what were we talking about earlier with the falls that we've seen from Andy on the hovers today? And it's just not his day right now.
It's just having none of it, but he's persevering. You gotta give him credit for that. Even though with a second fall, like, he is going for it, and props to him for keeping on. Because he knows he's close to the end. For all he knows, Christos is way behind him. But Christos is going to be fighting Ganon shortly.
I mean, I would expect Andy, knowing Christos, is thinking he is either ahead of me already or he's right on my tail. So this is almost certainly playing into his play right now. And this is just a really unfortunate way for him to be able to let this slip out of his grasp here.
And there it is. All right. 4th time's the charm. Well done, Andy.
Meanwhile, we're learning some cheese facts from Ganon before Christos begins the championship clinching fight here, if he is able to pull this off cleanly. Got all his attacks in for the first phase immediately, very quickly.
Yeah, this is a fight, Tempered Sword, and you also have Silvers as a bonus. Ganon is, kind of what these guys know, although Christos taking a lot of damage there from the fire bats, needs to be really careful.
Yeah, he got a lot of help from Andy due to the falls from the hovers, but that is a ton of damage. You really need to be a little bit careful here. You can't hug the pig, you can't take another fire bat, you can't really afford anything. This is a pretty scary situation for Chris right now.
Ganon throwing out what feels like 1,000 warps here. But phase 3 will be pretty comfortable. Just gotta get 4 silver arrows knocked into your bow and then shot straight into Ganon.
Yeah, and one quick thing to note about the teleports too is that because of the way the randomizer is set up, both runners will get the same teleports. Here we go, Alucard, 1 arrow already for Christos.
Ooh, almost a triple there. But there is 4 total shots on Ganon. And ChristosOwen has taken down Ganon, just needs to walk in the door. And the game is his. And this tournament is his.
GG to Christos. He is victorious, and he is the champion of the Link to the Past Keysanity tournament. Congratulations to him.
GG ChristosOwen. Wow. What a set from these guys. Being in Ganon at the same time in 2 of the games here. And, not far off in time. Crazy, crazy races.
Yeah, and you saw a brief pause by Andy there as he just kind of stopped in the middle of the fight. And I'm guessing what that was is he was typing into the SRL IRC chat, GG, Chris. Look at the casual triple from Andy right there. Oh my god, dude.
Casual triple into a finish. Andy has polished off Ganon. GG to Andy. Can we get a bunch of hype and love for both of these runners, giving us some amazing races? These last few days have just been incredible, Villagin. Incredible.
I completely agree. I've been absolutely floored by the quality of play. And I mean, I already knew what to expect from both of these guys because of how incredibly skilled, we all already know they are, but just getting to see it at this level for these three matches has just been absolutely mind-blowing. Whew. All right, I'm catching my breath a little bit here, Al.
Yeah. Oh,
something.
man. That was exhilarating. And we're going to get to talk to these guys after their race here. The final race of the Keysanity tournament with your champion, ChristosOwen, and Andy with an amazing showing in this tournament. I mean, second place here in the entire tournament by, a minute is incredible. And that was probably a lot closer than a minute, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the Falls to Moldorm 2 hovers being really effectively the difference here. Like, both runners, of course, they made some different decisions. They end up, Christos had a huge advantage at one point, and then Andy was able to kind of neutralize it a little bit by having the lucky Mire find. I mean, I say lucky, but he made a very smart routing choice given the keys he had. But, in the end, it all washed out. The Energans tower is so close. Andy nearly closed the gap, and then just unfortunately did not have his hovers completely on point. That was really the deciding factor at the end.
Yeah, and don't forget Andy's EG.
Oh my God.
In the game. That definitely cost him some time. Like, going through tile room and having to bomb himself to death, and that was a mess too. So, if one little thing went differently, this could have flipped the other way.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd been able to successfully open Mire when he first visited there, maybe that would have given him, an earlier advantage. He would have gotten the bow. Who even knows, right? But that's how Randomizer is. You can never know how it would have played out in some other hypothetical universe. You only know what we got to experience, which was really, really fun to watch and impressive.
Yeah, just top quality gameplay from both of these guys. I gotta say, like, the routing from... I almost think of Christos as more of, like, the routing master, but I feel like Andy really showed his routing stuff in this particular scene. And Christos kind of played more aggressively and kind of left a few places behind, which kind of bit him later on, but inevitably pulled him ahead on a lot of the progression.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to say, of course, whether a routing decision was right versus good. But, in this case, both runners making some good ones and both runners making some correct ones. And, in the end, here we are with Christos being the champion. I do believe we have both runners seem to be ready to join in here.
Okay. Yeah, I got that early on.
Oh, hey.
Hey there.
Hi, guys.
Why, hello! Congratulations, ChristosOwen, on becoming the tournament champion for the 2018 Keysanity tournament.
Thanks. Good games to Andy. Props to Andy. We had two really, really close games. Match one was insane. This one was also super close for Keysanity. So... like, easily could have gone either way, to be honest, with me and him.
Yeah, and honestly, congratulations to you, Andy. I mean, you guys gave us an amazing race. Like, second place in this tournament, still awesome. And it was the difference. I saw you talking about it in chat of, hovering or not, or getting EG'd or not. Like, there were so many things, so many factors. In
the EG.
Yeah, I knew that the weird pod EG arming was a thing, but I never had it happen to me before, so I never ever looked into how it happens.
I don't know fully. I think if you activate it and then don't take damage or bonk, if you're in an underworld room and then you bonk or take damage, then it will put you into EG. But I don't know.
Yeah, so I was like, it would have happened either way, because I was planning on death warping out of a tile room chest, and so I was planning on taking damage. I just took damage before I wanted to, and I was like, oh, I'm under the floor. I don't really want to save and quit, so I'm just gonna bomb 7 hearts of my health away while I'm under the floor.
Oh man, that is horrible.
So it was a juicy time loss. But I played really badly that entire time. I'm gonna guess that the beer is what made that close.
Yeah, I didn't find it on my first trip.
I went into the rock with 2 keys and was like, all right, I'm just gonna get the big chest, die, and check the lava chest, and I'll come back later. Even though this isn't really a smart play, and then it was the mirror, and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, that turned out to be like one of the really the play that saved you effectively, because your play, Andy, a lot of the run up until that point, you were kind of going out of your way to check some of those one-off chests. Kind of what were you thinking as you were doing that, as far as were you thinking back to like previous matches, like this didn't work last time, so I'm gonna do something different, or was there some overall something about this seed in particular that led you that way?
I don't really know. I guess I just didn't want to skip a one-off location and have it bite me in the end. And then that coupled with just poor play all around, I don't know. I didn't play well from start to finish, pretty much.
I think for me, I was playing really good for my what I want to be hitting. Like all the stuff went really good until like an hour and 20 minutes in. I made almost no mistakes. Like everything I was doing, like not necessarily the routing, but like the execution, I was on form. And then I had a bit of a mishap in pod. Then accidentally went back to Ice Palace twice instead of taking the Whirlpool to do Zora's Domain, which was just a bit of a brain fart. And then the end, I started playing a bit worse because I was getting really nervous. But I owe this win to, I forget actually who it was who said it, but somebody told me the other day that if you're still looking for a sword, check Checkerboard Cave, because it usually has like a sword apparently. And I went there and it had a big key for Desert Palace, and then that sparked my memory that there was a big key on Spectacle Rock Island, and I had all the other big keys. I was like, okay, well that's where the other key is. But if I hadn't found that key there, I probably wouldn't have remembered, and I was about to go into desert. So that was super lucky.
Dang.
Oh wow, that actually answers a big question we had, because Elu, like you and I were talking at that point, like, is he gonna remember that key? And I kind of thought you did at that point.
No, I looked at it so early on. I had no idea what it was until I saw the other big key and was like, hold on, I've seen another big key somewhere else. I didn't know if it was on the ledge or if it was on the Sky Island. I knew it was one of them. I remember seeing keys up there, but the annoying thing for me is after I had to go back into Turtle Rock, I found my mirror on the second trip. I did Mimic Cave then, and then didn't have a convenient way back to the mountain because the mirror would have taken me obviously back to the wrong entrance, so I couldn't exit Turtle Rock from the front. So I had no real quick way, unless I saved and quit back to the mountain and then ran all the way back up. But I wasn't about to do that.
That's what I did.
Okay.
But at that point, I didn't have Thieves Town Big Key yet either.
Okay. Yeah, I was just missing a sword. No, I wasn't missing a sword. I just got a sword from Blind. But yeah, I was just missing.
Sword was my go mode item, technically.
Okay, so for me it was the key on the ledge. I did Thieves before Hera rather than Hera before Thieves, I guess.
Yeah, the routing worked out well for both of you at the end, with Andy finishing in Turtle Rock. I mean, having to double dip, but Christos ended up having to do that too, to get that mirror. And then Christos doing Hera and then jumping right into Ganon's Tower. So you guys were something like 40 seconds apart jumping into Ganon's Tower. It was crazy.
Like most of our matches, we end a GT like less than a minute apart. It seems like that's like 3 out of 4 matches that we've had. So the match I had the other day where I got ruined by Turtle Rock small keys, I'm still very... Okay, so I guess, Andy, you didn't know. I sequence broke into ice pretty early with fake flippers and found a Turtle Rock key there. So I had 3 keys going into Turtle Rock. And I was just like, right, we're just going to go mode the dungeon and hope that chest has nothing. And then... Yeah, so I didn't get the mirror on the first trip, and then I went back because I found the 4th key on the bumper ledge, and I was like, okay, this is like all logically accessible. And the only other dungeon spots I hadn't checked was Hera Basement, so I did that first, and then went back into Turtle Rock because I was prioritizing dungeons over Overworld in this one. Because the one I was doing yesterday, I did way too much Overworld, and there was just nothing. So
Yeah, that routing decision of sequence breaking into ice earlier was really interesting. Although I guess theoretically it was in logic. The flippers were technically available. But yeah, that ended up, nearly kind of costing you dearly, but then you ended up making that decision to go back to Turtle Rock rather sooner than later, and that played super well. I just can't believe how everything evened out between the two of you by the end, because the routing was actually substantially different. In a lot of matches I've seen between you guys, you do practically the same thing because you think rather similarly, it seems, but not tonight.
I was pretty bummed that I didn't have enough magic to go into Mire initially.
Oh, yeah.
oh no.
So I ended up going and getting the bow a little bit later than I would have. I was a little bummed that Mire, or the green pendant, didn't end up being anything, but...
Yeah, like I knew something was going to be in Mire because like we got given all the big keys and small keys and stuff, so I was like,
Yeah.
okay, it's gonna have something. But I didn't go there immediately either. I don't remember what I did, but I did some Darkwood stuff elsewhere first.
Once Moon Pearl and Mountain, I checked like Hair Lobby, did Spiral Cave to Darkwood Death Mountain, checked
Same.
Turtle Rock, and then I went to Mire, did the shed, got silvers, and then I was gonna go into Mire right then, but I was like 2 small magic jars too short, I think. I had like
Dude,
a half.
you gotta start picking up the full magic in Super Bunny Cave.
Yeah, I always forget it's there.
Yeah, I remember Village had noted that. Later, he's like, I'm not gonna say anything, but that's kind of what happened. And that kind of bit you a little bit and kept you away from the bow, but you were still able to make some progress. That's kind of where Christos just got into this rhythm of clearing a bunch of dungeons, one after another, and then you were kind of going all over the place. The routing was still good, but you weren't completing dungeons. And
Yep.
that was brutal. But then once you found the mirror, it just changed the whole game.
Yeah, so like I bashed out a lot of dungeons early, but then I was really running out of options of where to go next because I just wasn't finding any progression. So that's when I did like a lot of overworld checks. So I guess we kind of just traded when we did the overworld stuff. I think I did pretty much everything. I didn't end up doing purple chest because
Same.
the dwarf.
I didn't do K45 either.
Oh, I did Cave 45. But I didn't do dwarf. I did dwarf with the mirror a lot later on.
I did dwarf with hammer peg right after digging game. Because with the flute, I just figured I'd save and quit. Flute's in town. Do dwarf and then do magic bat, and then just head into Skullwoods and Thieves Town.
Okay, so I did the dungeons first, and then just came back with all that overworld stuff later. Like a lot later. I did hammer pegs actually.
Yeah, neither of you did purple chest, which was surprising, because if that was what the progression was, it would have been pretty hilarious. I think
It's just
that
so
remained
time
unchecked.
consuming.
Yeah, it would have been. If that was like mirror instead, that could have been crazy.
Like, I
especially
filled
in
up-
context of this scene.
Yeah, like I was thinking about the overworld spots that I had left because they were all on opposite ends of the world. I hadn't done Agana or King's Tomb or the Smith sequence. Those are the only overworld spots I hadn't done. When I had either Hera Basement, Turtle Rock, Revisit, all those, and I was like, I'm gonna try the dungeons because they're usually the answer. It just sucks that I went into Hera first for like rupees or something.
Well, Chris, as the tournament champion, I think that it is fair for you to get a moment to express your feelings about Keysanity mode. Tell us how you truly and deeply feel about this mode.
So actually, I tweeted before this race my feelings of just Randomizer in general, that especially as a viewer, if the person you're rooting for wins, then everyone's like, yeah, they routed really well and they read the logic so good. And then if they lose, they're like, they made all the right choices, but it just didn't pay off this time, and they got cheated out of the win. It's just really funny to see that. But so actually, contrary to what I think of this mode, which is that it's just hugely volatile, the matches between me and Andy, at least 1 and 3 of this series, were super close, which is not what I was expecting. I just expected each of us to have like a significant win over the other in each of the games. But yeah, it's safe to say it's not my favorite type of rando.
Very diplomatic answer.
How do you feel, Andy? I mean, do you feel like it's a refreshing mode, like something different that you have to kind of puzzle out in a different way or execute in a different way?
I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's not my favorite, but I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than when I heard Keysanity was becoming a thing, and I was like, man, this is gonna be stupid, terrible. It's gonna have all the same problems that like the harder modes had back when they removed maps and compasses, where you're just full clearing all the dungeons, but then it ended up not being bad.
So I should clarify, like, I really like it for individual playthroughs. Like, I think the mode itself is fantastic if you just want to puzzle through the game. That really appeals to me. But just for like a competitive racing scenario, I think it works less well than some of the other randomized modes.
Well, speaking of other randomizer modes, we have a tournament coming up. You guys probably know a little bit about that.
I haven't heard anything. Can you tell me details?
I believe that there's a tournament starting on April 9th with a small number of participants, only about 512. Is that right?
Yeah, with a waiting list. Like, it's insane how many
Waiting
people.
list of like 20.
Oh,
Last I checked, at least.
And
So
that's-
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I did not get top 8 in the fall tournament, so I actually have to go through the nice 512-person Swiss stage. So that'll be a blast.
Well, rip for 511 of those people.
Me and Andy were discussing it before the race, actually. There's some pretty big contenders in the Swiss. TGH, ACM, for 2 other notable people. But yeah, that wasn't even like us capping it. The website we use, Challenge, just has like a hard cap. And we even, well, Andy actually,
I had to pay for a premium account to make the cap not 254 or whatever
that was your
it was.
punishment for not making top 8.
Oh my gosh.
We are gonna split that equally between everybody, just to clarify.
It's my punishment for not winning this tournament, actually. It was the money match between me and Chris on the down
Oh,
low.
money match. Okay. Now we know why these races were so close.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, at least silver lining, Ben wasn't in the final for once.
Yeah, this was the first tournament that Ben didn't win.
That's true.
How does that make you feel, Christos?
Considerably lucky that I didn't have to face him in this tournament.
Oh man. So you guys, I believe both of you are also in the No Major Glitches tournament, right?
Yep.
Yes. I actually have a match in 15 minutes for that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's not. That's not soon or anything.
In case I hadn't played enough of this game.
Oh my goodness. Ellie, you got any more things to throw at our 2 amazing competitors here?
You guys are just amazing. It's always awesome to watch you both. Thanks for some awesome races here in the finals and throughout the whole tournament. And we're looking forward to more in No Major Glitches and the next standard randomized swords tournament.
Yeah, thank you guys for commentating. Thanks everyone for watching. This has been a hugely popular tournament. So I think it's been a big success. And like all the people involved with organizing it, and there's like a huge team of people, like all the speed gaming staff and just all the Link to the Past randomizer admins and mods and stuff, putting in loads of time, the restreamers, the commentators, etc. It's just so many people. And I have to poke fun at Andy one last time. This is why hovering is awful.
Wow.
even if I had failed all those hovers, if I hadn't EG'd in Tile Room, it would have been seconds apart.
Yeah, honestly, I think if you'd nailed the hovers or hadn't gone into EG, like it probably would have been. It's too close to say what the result would have been.
Well, I just want to echo everything that Chris just said. Thanks to everyone who's been involved in organizing this tournament and helping put it on. All the competitors all did an amazing job. All the commentators, all the trackers, particularly, of course, today, Max Mini helping us out. Alucard, my co-commentator today. It has been an extreme honor to get to represent the commentators today as for the final match here. But I think that's it for us. So Alu, I opened up today, so I think you should close this out.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And of course, props to my co-commentator Vulajin for rocking it out with me. Real pleasure to work with you. Feasel, as always, we love you for doing all that you do behind the scenes and just the speed gaming channels in general and everybody who helped out. And make sure you guys are tuning in. We've got a No Major Glitches match. We've got more on speed gaming here coming up in just about 10 minutes. So I know Christos is going to be racing off against Dark Magician, I believe. And we've got Willard J. Bradley versus Simple Dude. So it's going to be exciting. A 2 1v1s, but we'll catch all the action right here now. Thank you guys so much for watching this tournament. Thank you guys for participating. Without you watching this tournament, we wouldn't have all this awesome hype behind Link to the Past, Randomizer, No Major Glitches, whatever. So it's all about you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye!